welcome to the Deep Dive. Your shortcut to being, well, in the know. Today, we're plunging into something lots of you have probably bumped into before. The world of personality tests. Specifically, the really popular one, the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, or MBTI. Millions seem to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. For self-discovery, team building, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But, it's also kind of controversial in scientific circles. So we're going to unpack that today. What do these tests really tell us? What are their maybe surprising limits? And, well, how should you maybe use them? Or maybe not use them at all.
Okay, yeah, let's get into it. So the MBTI, it came about during World War II, right? And it basically sorts you into one of 16 types. It looks at four main things, like are you more extroverted or introverted? Do you focus on sensing details or intuitive possibilities? Make decisions using thinking or feeling? And prefer things judging, meaning planned, or perceiving, more spontaneous.
Exactly. And the core idea, which I think is part of its appeal, is that it's about your preferences. It's not claiming to measure your skill level at something. It's more about how you prefer to use your mind or interact with the world. Think of it like being right-handed or left-handed. You can learn to use the other hand, but you have a natural preference.
Okay, I see. So it's trying to boost self-awareness,
Yeah.
help you understand maybe why you click with some people and not others, that kind of thing.
Precisely. Understanding yourself, understanding others, that's the goal, at least on paper.
Right, sounds pretty useful. But, and this is where our deep dive gets really interesting. Despite being so popular, you hear a lot of psychologists calling it, well, pseudoscience. That's a strong word.
It is a strong word, and it really begs the question, why? Why the pushback? Well, the main issue boils down to two key scientific concepts: validity and reliability.
Okay, break those down for us. Validity and reliability.
Sure, so validity basically asks, does the test actually measure what it says it's measuring? In this case, stable, distinct personality types. And reliability is about consistency. If you take the test today and then again in, say, 6 weeks, will you get the same result?
Ah, okay. And what does the research say about the MBTI on those fronts?
Well, this is where the criticism comes in. Studies generally show it doesn't have strong scientific validity. The traits it measures aren't always distinct, and they don't always predict behavior consistently. And reliability is a big one. Research suggests that maybe up to 50% of people might get a different type if they retake the test, even just a few weeks later.
50%. Wow, that's huge. Like you said, if your blood pressure cuff gave you wildly different readings back to back.
Exactly, you wouldn't trust it. So critics often compare it to something like, well, horoscopes. The descriptions can feel very accurate because they're often quite positive in general. It taps into something called the Barnum effect, where vague statements feel deeply personal just because they're flattering or general enough to apply to almost anyone.
Right, right. You have a great capacity for understanding others, but sometimes feel misunderstood.
Yeah.
Who doesn't feel like that sometimes?
Precisely. So if the science is shaky, that leads to big questions about how it's used,
Yeah.
especially ethically.
Yeah, let's talk about that because people do use it a lot. In workplaces, for example. What are the ethical concerns there?
This is really crucial. The MBTI, its creators actually cautioned against using it for hiring or promotions. It just wasn't designed for that. And besides the validity issues, people can pretty easily figure out how to answer to get a desired type if they think it'll help them get a job.
So faking it is possible.
Oh, definitely. So using it to screen candidates or decide who gets promoted, that's generally seen as unethical. It can even potentially lead to legal issues like discrimination claims. The bottom line should always be, you hire the person with all their skills and experiences, not a 4-letter code.
So is there any good use for it then, or should we just discard it?
Well, discard might be strong for some contexts. If used voluntarily, purely for self-reflection, or maybe as a conversation starter in a team-building workshop where individuals confirm their own results, and it's low stakes, maybe it has some value. But it should never be mandatory or used for high-stakes decisions about someone's career path or opportunities. That's crossing an ethical line.
Okay, that makes sense. So if the MBTI has these significant limitations, what else is out there? Are there alternatives people could look at for understanding personality?
Oh, absolutely. A major one in academic psychology is the Big Five model. It measures traits like openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism, often seen as more scientifically robust because traits are measured on a spectrum, not put into boxes. There are others too, like the Enneagram, which focuses more on motivations, or DISC, often used in workplaces for communication styles, or even assessments based on emotional intelligence, like Goleman's EQ framework.
Right, so different tools, maybe looking at different aspects of personality or behavior.
Exactly. And when used thoughtfully, many of these can be genuinely useful for teams, not for labeling, but for understanding different working styles.
Can you give an example? Like, how might that play out?
Sure, imagine a team activity, something fun, like building a little house out of M&Ms. You might see folks who test high on, say, MBTI's judging preference immediately start planning. They're sorting the colors, drawing a little blueprint, figuring out the structure before placing a single candy.
Okay, the planners.
Right. Whereas the perceiving types might just dive in. They'll start sticking M&Ms together, trying different things, maybe building several weird little structures before settling on a final design. More exploratory.
Huh, I can picture that. So it's not that one way is better.
Not at all. The point isn't the label, it's seeing that people genuinely approach tasks differently. One prefers structure up front, the other prefers flexibility and adapting as they go. And a team that understands and actually values both, approaches the meticulous planner and the creative experimenter, is likely to build a much cooler M&M house in the end. That diversity is a strength, ethically appreciated.
That's a great way to put it. It's about appreciating the different ways people think and work, not sticking them in a box. So whether you really connect with your MBTI type, or maybe you're starting to question these labels a bit after our chat today, our deep dive is really encouraging us all to look beyond those simple categories, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And maybe it leaves us with a bigger thought to chew on. In a world that loves labels, how can we use this understanding of different preferences not to categorize, but to genuinely value each person's uniqueness? How can that foster, better empathy, better collaboration in work, in life, everywhere? Something to think about.